Kitty was always quite a enthusiastic girl. She loved being outdoors, she loved getting dirty, she loved joining in with lots of different adventures, really. So in the beginning, when she started school, in reception they get told and taught how to wash their hands properly. And so immediately she came back home and was like, "Mummy, Daddy, you need to wash your hands like this." I was like, oh, obviously they've been teaching them that. But then that progressed to, "No, you've not done it properly, Mummy. No, you need to wash your hands." And she would be more watching where we put our hands. A sort of a classic, almost OCD sign of hand washing. She stopped wanting to wear dresses or leggings that were really tight on her legs. She would always want to wear baggy leggings. She then started restricting her diet to the point that she didn't want to eat meat. Suddenly, when you add them all together and say them all now, it sounds, you know, concerning. She would also remove herself from us sort of emotionally and affectionately as well. So she wouldn't want us to kiss or hug her. And at sort of 9 years old, you know, that's really hard to her to push away like that. I remember when she was in year 2, we had a conversation with the teacher who said she didn't like other people sitting in her chair in the classroom, although they didn't have specific chairs that were theirs, but Kitty obviously knew that that chair was hers and she didn't like someone else sitting in it. So that was quite an indication actually that she was liking to be in control of things, because maybe she was feeling out of control inside, that she couldn't control how she was feeling and didn't know how to make sense of these feelings. So the bedwetting started, so that continued for sort of 18 months. A more convincing aspect of her symptoms that we felt that, is it something medical? You know, because that to regress back to bedwetting so frequently is sort of a clear indication that something isn't right within the body or mind. And I think it got to a point where I was at work and I was talking to another parent. Yeah, I'm going through all these things at the moment. I just don't know what it is. And she then said, "Oh, it sounds familiar. A friend of mine had her daughter went through something very similar. Let me try and connect you." And she also put me in touch with a Facebook group, Facebook forum, and I could see that there were other children and other families going through what we were going through. And it was a relief in some way to know that we all know what our children are like. Deep down, you know when something's wrong. Kitty has a great mask that she puts on, and I would know immediately when I pick her up from school, even now when she's older, I can see it in her face if she's had a bad day. When I mentioned it to a teacher, she said, "I've noticed that. I've noticed that she does that." And that was just pure relief, really, from my perspective. I'd looked on the Facebook forums and looked at various chats that people were having about paediatricians who specialised in PANS and PANDAS nationwide. And there were a few, but like with all of these things, it was good to get my GP involved too. I had written to her saying, you know, can we have an appointment? So we had the appointment, and I explained about PANS and PANDAS, and the website comes up with a really good information for healthcare professionals as well. We then put a plan in progress to have a referral from the NHS. And unfortunately, with a lot of things, sometimes the symptoms aren't always there and are enough of an indicator to have the referral accepted, which it wasn't. But I wasn't prepared to stop at that point. PANS and PANDAS are the same, but some symptoms can display themselves quickly with regard to any kind of strep infection that the child might have. And with Kitty, it was more of a long process before we got to that PANS diagnosis. We had our medication prescribed, and it was more of a case of trying to speak to Kitty to try and say, this is going to help you. It's just an antibiotic that will just help you. Trust your instincts as a parent. You know your child more than anything. What they were like growing up. You know if there's something different about them, so always trust your instincts and talk to other parents as well. I'd say that the PANS PANDAS forum, the website, is really, really useful. So if you have got any kind of inclination that your child might be suffering or showing signs and symptoms of it, then definitely look at the website, and also to see your GP, healthcare professional, to just talk over with them anything that is concerning you.